So you actually finally got all of your grass mowed.
Yeah, the swamp dried up for a few minutes, so I was able to get some mowing done.
How many acres do you have?
About to mow, probably about 3.
Yeah, I live on a corner lot, and my property is like 100 feet by 100 feet, and most of that's taken up by the house, the garage, and the driveway, so I don't have a ton to mow, but I have like one flat spot, and there's now a swing set on it. Everything else is hills and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm mowing, and we have like the one side of the yard, there's like these railroad ties, and there's like these like wood bracings on the back, like these 4x4 bracings on the back. One was kind of hidden by grass and weeds. I went to mow over it, not realizing it was there. Caught the blade. The mower shut off instantly. I got it to start again, but it just backfired and sputtered and everything else, so I shut it off. It turned out basically like the flywheel key got all screwed up and everything like that. I am not mechanically inclined at all. With my dad passing away, I ended up with a lot of his tools, that most of which I don't know how to use. Luckily, my brother is mechanically inclined. Yeah, so when it was all said and done, I had to buy like a flywheel wheel puller. Like a new blade. I had to get the whole top of it taken apart. Yeah, the flywheel puller cost me $20. To it, my brother told me, he's like, "Well, congratulations, you're officially a mechanic now." And I'm like, "Why is that?" And he's like, "You just paid $20 for a tool you're never gonna need again. So congratulations."
Welcome to IT.
Yeah. So that was my $60 mistake a couple weeks ago that I had to deal with. Okay, are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it. Hit the music.
Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of the Dump and Chase podcast. As with everything else in the world right now, instead of celebrating another milestone episode, we're talking about the coronavirus. My name is Sam Olmstead, and with me as always is the man who, thanks to all of his hard work over the years covering the Phantoms, is the reason I get to do this now. Of course, I am talking about Mr. Justin Irwin. So, grass cutting aside, how has COVID life been for you?
I'm coping. I mean, obviously everything is a little bit different. So, yeah, we just try to get done what we can. I'm still working. I'm still healthy. So, take it day by day.
Yeah, it looks like you haven't had to worry too much about the COVID haircut, so you're in a lot better shape than I am as far as that's concerned.
I don't know. It got a little bit fuzzy for a while, but yeah, it's getting hot out, so...
Yeah, for those of you listening right now, we're trying out something new right now. We're in a video chat. Usually it's just we talk over the phone when we record these. We're actually in a video chat right now and confirming once and for all why we will never do this podcast as a video. We're both a little rough looking right now. Now, for anybody listening who is thinking, the last thing I want to hear is anything more about COVID-19, I will say this, me too. But our goal in this episode is to look at what the landscape is right now as far as the USHL and specifically the Phantoms. We're not doctors. I mean, if we were, this would be recorded in a studio for one. Right now, I'm in my office at home and my desk looks like a bomb went off. Do you remember the episode of World of Warcraft episode of South Park?
Yes, I do.
The middle-aged guy who's like trolling the kids in the game just kind of leaned back in his chair with like potato chip crumbs. That's how I feel right now. So yes, if we were doctors, our budget for this would be a little bit higher. But seriously, we are not medical professionals. Now, we are two people who talk politics with each other often. We're not doing that in this episode either. There's plenty of other mediums for you to go to if you want to hear about that kind of stuff. Yeah, this will be about basically the state of hockey, what it looks like right now. I mean, at certain points, we'll try to make it funny, but, no guarantees at this point. We'll see how it goes when we're all done. So, yeah, basically, as it stands right now, a lot of the leagues have put into place kind of like a return to play as far as like the medical side of it. Beyond that, there's really not much that can be done. It's up to the individual states as far as, what these teams can do. And really, no shocker, the USHL has not come out as one of the few leagues that have not come out with any type of a plan yet. So not really surprising, but as far as the USHL is concerned, we have not heard much from the league yet as far as what their plans are.
No, it's pretty much been crickets, and, we come to love the league for that. We've even got a statement from the NAL, North American Hockey League. The USHL has always been really, really tight to the vest, and this is no exception. Really, there's nothing to say, but, at least other leagues have, tried to put stuff out there.
Yeah, it's, again, it's up to the state departments of health. It seems like, at least in Ohio so far, they're allowing practices to go forward. Contact sports now can hold their practices and everything like that. A little bit trickier with the United States Hockey League. You have kids scattered all over the country, in some cases around the world. And that's basically the game. It's been a guessing game so far, trying to figure out what possibly could happen. And again, at the same time, we talked to Brad Patterson in the last episode, and he said as far as he's concerned, they're going ahead with this summer, as usual, planning for the season to start on time. Of course, with the exception of the team's camp being moved back to the end of July. But again, it's just kind of that guessing game we're in right now. Really not, especially just not hearing anything really from the USHL. The league director did an interview, I believe, a couple weeks ago with a newspaper in Cedar Rapids, and really didn't say anything. It was, I believe the common description I heard was it was a lot of like politicians speak. There was answers with absolutely no substance to them whatsoever.
Yeah, Jeff Johnson usually gets some of the best interviews out of the league, so there's obviously not much to say, and they're not going to say it, so we're still kind of just in a holding pattern. I don't know what the overall plan even can be at this point. You said it. There's, several states. You got to also consider, a lot of this league is dependent on, the fact that they're a feeder league, and scouting is going to be disrupted. I think one of the biggest things we got to look at is the fact that the Canadian border will probably be an issue crossing. At least some sort of delay. So, if Canadian players, staff, scouts, anybody comes over, they're not going to be able to easily go back, even if they do get crossed over to here. So, and that's not even talking about European players, which right now might be, European players and scouts, which that might right now be easier, but at least going back to Europe might be considerably difficult sooner if the rumors of a travel ban being instituted are to be believed.
Yeah. I'll bring up 2 points here. Obviously, first and foremost, it's going to be figuring out how to get the players back safely, and kind of get that whole routine down. As far as the fans are concerned, trying to think. It was a couple weeks ago, and again, this is, we're talking, we're in Ohio, so as far as the state of Ohio, a couple weeks ago, Governor Mike DeWine was on one of the Sunday morning shows, and I said I'm not going to get political, and this is not political. This is just simply laying out why this question was asked. The Republican National Convention was, that was talked that it was going to be moved out of North Carolina due to disagreements over social distancing and everything. When he was on the Sunday morning show, he was asked, would Ohio be a possibility to host the Republican National Convention? And, Mike DeWine essentially said, no, with our social distancing in place and everything like that, we have not made decisions as far as large arenas and everything like that. So, right there, at least from a couple weeks ago, we know, where the state of Ohio stood as far as, people gathering en masse inside of, large arena stadiums, stuff like that. What I had done Also, I reached out to Ryan Tekak, who is the Mahoning County Public Health Commissioner, asked him a few questions, kind of, as far as the Phantoms and the Covelli Center is concerned. Turned out that he was the wrong person to ask. I actually needed to talk to the Youngstown City Health District Commissioner, Aaron Bishop, but he was nice enough to forward the questions and everything to her. So, definitely to Commissioner Tekak, thank you for that. My first question was, while there has been no decision made at the state level as far as attendance at sporting events, if it is possible that numbers are able to trend down going into the fall, what would make you comfortable as far as fans being allowed to attend sporting events in places like the Covelli Center? The answer I got back from Commissioner Bishop was the Youngstown City Health District will follow any and all required and recommended guidelines that are adopted by the Ohio Department of Health. The Ohio Department of Health currently is working on requirements for contact sports in a work group with various team leaders to ensure players, coaches, and any patrons and fans can remain safe in these types of atmospheres. We anticipate seeing smaller group seating, facial covering requirements, and sanitizing frequently. The health district believes the risk can remain low when these environments are properly controlled and monitored for compliance by adopting these procedures. So, right there, all of that together tells me that while no decision has been made as far as fans attending sporting events and everything like that it seems like already protocols are starting to be put in place for when that can happen.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of this comes down to, what will be the maximum capacity. And, fortunately for Youngstown and, something we've complained about over the years is the Covelli Center is too big. You don't get that intimate barn feel with the fans all spaced out. Well, guess what? That might be what saves us.
Yeah.
That still doesn't cover the fact that, the Covelli Center still has to make money. They're going to be operating on a very limited budget, especially if they can't hold full concerts, things like that.
Yeah.
So what is the breaking point there? I imagine at some point, some subsidies will be needed, and I don't know where those would come from.
But well, here we'll look at kind of like a few scenarios that's been floated around. Of course, it's brought up right away: playing in an empty arena. Either playing in an empty arena or kind of doing like a centralized location, essentially like what the NHL is doing in selecting the hub cities and everything for the playoffs to take place. I could see something like that working for the NHL as far as kind of like that hub city. I don't see it working for the USHL simply because the budget just isn't comparable, between the two to pull off something like that. And be able to, have the budget to do what they need to do to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, unless somebody stepped in again with to offer funds, the NHL, something miraculous like that. No, it would not work. And I don't think any team in this league could operate without fans. That's not going to happen. And so, that would be, in my opinion, a non-starter for the league.
So that so then it comes to next, fans being allowed into the arena, but like running at like a half capacity, spacing the fans out, shouldn't be an issue for Madison. We can't let one episode go by without taking a crack at Madison. But no, I mean, so right off the bat, the Covelli Center's website has the capacity for, hockey games listed at 5,500. So, 50% of that would be 2,750. The team's average attendance last year was hovering, right around 1,500?
Yeah. I mean, there were a few games where maybe you'd worry about it. Obviously, I don't think the Kids' Day game is going to happen.
No.
But I think that could work for us. Again, I don't know if that works for the Covelli Center themselves operationally. It comes down to, does that work for the rest of the league?
Yeah.
Does that work for Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Waterloo, Sioux Falls? I mean, they could probably handle half capacity, 10,000 fan arena. But Muskegon, maybe not. Des Moines, probably not.
Well, even maybe Team USA to that extent.
Well, I mean, I've been to a lot of their games, and it doesn't seem like it's ever attendance is ever really a thought there. A lot of their games are pretty empty till late in the season.
So, as far as like what other leagues are doing, of course, like the NHL has already released their return to play plan. We've seen what was it? Was it the Western Hockey League? No, not the Western Hockey League. Trying to think. There was the league that that already has shut down for next
Western
season.
States Hockey League.
Western States Hockey League. There we go.
Yeah.
Now they're only a 10-team league. Some people have argued, some have not, that they lost, 9 teams to the
U.S. Premier Hockey. Yeah,
the U.S. Premier Hockey League. That may have had something to do with it. They lost half their league to another league, but yeah, they've already shut down for next season.
Yeah,
so
this is a league with a storied history of stuff like this. They're I believe amateur athletics union sanctioned, so they're a little on the sketchy side anyway. But they've been operating for quite a while, so for them to shut down, that's something I've already heard. I think some Division III colleges have already scrapped the season. I think they're scrapping their whole fall winter sports programs. Obviously, it's early in the game here, but
now there's also been this was a little while ago from now, but there was also, I'll let you go into this. There was also some news with the BCHL.
Oh,
but you know a lot more about that than I do, so I'll let you go into that.
Well, yeah, the news. Now this is a little bit older, maybe a month or so, but yeah, they were already offering teams, passes on going dormant. If you cannot play next season, you will not be penalized. You will hold your franchise agreement. But yeah, so I think a lot of USHL fans who have been around know what going dormant usually means. Not a lot of teams really, come out of dormancy at this level. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But again, this is a league that does rely a lot on American players coming over.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of a competitor to the North American Hockey League, and definitely an alternative to Tier 3 in this country. So
basically, at that point, we come to the players. Like we talked about with the travel ban, they're talking about that Canadian leagues may not allow American players to come over. They don't really see it as essential for, junior, for American junior hockey players to go to Canada. So that's going to be one part that factors into it. And like you said, as far as, Canadian players coming to America, unfortunately, with things opening back up, the numbers in America have gotten worse. So does that lend itself to, even if Canadian players could come down, are you going to have families getting a little nervous, sending their kids down here to travel all over the country to play with what's been going on?
Yeah, well, that's just it. They're coming in, on different visas than, what a professional player would be coming in on. If they do go back, I can almost guarantee there's going to be a quarantine, and that's, you're going to have a couple weeks where you can't probably even really train.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to throw a wrench into that for them. Now, keep in mind, though, that, Junior A Canadian teams, a lot of those do, stock some American players on them. It's not just the BCHL, but so, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit weird, players trying to find roster spaces in their own country. Could be interesting to see who get camp invites if we ever get that information.
Okay, so this was the second question I had posed that was answered by the Youngstown City Health District Commissioner. But my question was, had there been any conversations with Youngstown Phantoms organization as far as facilitating COVID-19 testing for players, staff, others in the organization? Her answer was that the Youngstown City Health District and City of Youngstown has a close relationship with the entire Covelli Center and remains in open communication for all events at this time. Any activities proposed will be closely monitored and will be a joint effort between the Health District and Covelli Center management. With that said, we have not had specific conversations about the Phantoms returning at this time. I will point out again, this email was from about a week and a half ago, so that may have changed since then. So again, it seems like as far as the Covelli Center, as far as the city of Youngstown is concerned, it seems like, plans are being put into place as, as far as, trying to keep these kind of things at bay, once, if and when, hockey does come back.
So, yeah, well, I mean, that seemed kind of like, the perfunctory copy and paste answer.
I mean, as far as the players are concerned, as it stands right now, with everything opening up around the country, ice rinks have opened back up. Players are, they don't have to practice in their driveways anymore. Players are getting back out on the ice again. We're starting to see a lot of that. And again, Phantoms camp will be coming up at the end of next month. So again, it seems like, just from what the Phantoms are putting out there and everything else, it seems like the teams are acting as if, they plan for the season to start, end of September. Whether the Fall Classic is going to happen, I don't know about you. I don't see the Fall Classic happening.
No.
Yeah, gathering 16 USHL teams, untold dozens of, a lot of these youth teams and everything else. I don't see that happening. That may be it for the, for the Fall Classic this year.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, the youth teams could not happen. You might be able to get the teams in for a couple of games into one facility, but again, I don't know how you could even get that many scouts into a building like that. So you would have to limit the amount, and that kind of eliminates the purpose. So. So no, I don't think that happens. I think most teams probably should be planning on maybe a delayed start on the season. I don't see it happening in September.
Pretty much to kind of sum all this up, as we sit right now, what we know right now, it is right now June 25th. Hopefully this episode will be out in a couple days. But as we say, what do you see, based on everything you've seen, what do you see happening as far as this upcoming season?
One of the, I guess at this point, rumors that I've heard is that there won't be really much, if any, interconference play. So Eastern teams and Western teams will not be playing each other, save for the Iowa teams, basically. Waterloo, Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines. Who am I missing? Waterloo, Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines,
Green Bay.
No,
wait, your name
Iowa.
The Iowa teams. We're talking to each other over video chat right now. I just kind of got lost in your eyes, and my train of thought went out the window, so I apologize for that. Green Bay is not. I am.
Yeah, that's what editing's for.
I am well aware Green Bay is not in Iowa, so.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. All right, yeah. Okay, so starting over, get ready to edit, blah, blah, blah. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So, Sioux City Musketeers, Des Moines Buccaneers, and the Waterloo Blackhawks in the West. Dubuque Fighting Saints and the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders in the East. They will play each other as kind of a third conference, or maybe a kind of a 2.5 conference setup. Yeah, not much different probably than actually the way the league functions now, except for the para games. Usually you play against another team.
And Youngstown's schedule won't really probably be all that different. We'll play Team USA 20 times. We'll play Muskegon 20 times. We'll play...
Yeah, Madison. Yeah, we'll end up playing Madison and Chicago probably a couple of more times, and to make up for, the 10 or so games we play in Iowa.
But yeah, Youngstown being the furthest east team in the league, there wouldn't be any trips to Fargo or, North Dakota or Nebraska, but, there'd still be trips to Iowa and...
Yeah, maybe one or two to Iowa. I don't even know about that at this point. So, yeah. But, yeah, so that will cut down on the travel, especially for the rest of the league, except for us and, the Fargo fans.
Yeah.
They have the same problem up there, so...
As far as the fans are concerned, I'm to the point right now, if the USHL figures out a way that they can play games without fans, and not go belly up financially, I could see the season starting on time. Again, this will depend on what the numbers are looking like, what, the pandemic, what COVID-19 looks like at that point. If they could figure out a way to do it, I could see the season starting on time. If not, I almost envisioned like a shortened season that doesn't start until January.
Yeah.
Where maybe at that point they could, allow, either, 25%, 50% capacity, of fans in the arena, which, even 25% capacity of the Covelli Center would still be 1,375 people.
Yeah, and that would be respectable for us. Sioux Falls would suffer a little bit. I'm sure some of the rest of the league is gonna, have a problem. But we've always kind of operated that way, so it will hurt us less, I guess. One thing I want to mention would be what I believe to be one of the worst case scenarios is the league starts up, on time, and then, holiday, January, we have to shut down again.
Yeah.
So I don't know if another shutdown, that to me seems to be, a huge blow.
And that's a lot of what you're hearing with the NFL right now as well. Just a few weeks ago, all you heard was, yes, the season's starting on time. We're going to be running our normal schedule. Now you're starting to kind of hear that talk of, well, what happens if the season starts on time and then a month later has to shut down? That's a lot of what the NFL is going through right now as well.
Yeah, so, and I know they're probably looking into, can we play in empty stadiums? As a Browns fan, I know how that feels, so...
you can just put the paper bag on and sit at home and watch the game.
So, yeah, well, I still have the paper bag I used last year or last presidential election when I voted. I'm not joking.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the talk I've heard, like with the NHL and with the NBA restarting, this past season, up in July, going through playoffs and everything that they're going to do, and then possibly having like a December or January start time for next season. So that, to me, that's kind of why I have like January kind of sticking in my head, because that seems to, nothing's been finalized. It's just talk at this point. But that seems to be what a lot of people are leaning towards. If these seasons are going to run so late into the summer, they can't finish a playoff season and then go straight into training camp and start next season, that they may do this and then, have a later off season and possibly maybe not start until, December or January. So to me, if, the USHL decides we can't do games without fans, the landscape is not looking all that great right now, that it just may be like, we could see like a 30, maybe 35 game season starting in January, where at that point, fans could be allowed in. To me, at that point, that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, that seems to be a more practical idea. So, again, I think with the threat of, some sort of a second shutdown, I have to agree with you that, there's going to be at least some delay, and it will be shortened. And yeah, I think they'll want to get the holidays out of the way.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a big factor. We usually have that start up, and then, we do have kind of a little bit of a shutdown around the holidays anyway. So yeah, maybe 35, maybe 40, 45 games. But a full season is probably unlikely, and we'll have to see how things are going. Playoffs might not be affected, but
Yeah.
we might see a little bit of a rush there too. So
okay, so we'll finish this part out with this was the third question I had emailed, hadn't gotten an answer on. The question basically was, before the junior hockey season was suspended and then canceled, the Cavelli Center had put plans in place as far as advanced cleaning, sanitation, social distancing. If and when the Cavelli Center reopens to the public, will these measures be enough, or will more have to be done, given the knowledge that we have now? The answer on that was, again, we will adopt any requirements from the Ohio Department of Health, which will include social distancing and deep sanitation. We anticipate policies and procedures for all staff for daily symptoms checks, policies on social distancing, mask wearing, and a sanitizing schedule, as well as staggered times of entry, ticket line management, etc. So, basically right there. And the email that Ryan Tekak had sent me back, he said that, the Mahoning County Public Health District, concurred with all of the answers that Commissioner Bishop gave. So, essentially right there, that looks like, at least for the time being, when fans are allowed back into the arena once hockey's going, that will be our new normal until things get back closer to a normal we're used to from before all of this.
So, yeah. So, again, it's more kind of what you would expect them to say. Cavelli Center deep sanitation. Now, that's kind of a funny one, but
no,
they'll have to clean up the diapers.
Dirty diapers under the chairs. All right, so as far as the future of the show, what we got coming up for the rest of this summer, I will go ahead and say the name. Hopefully within the next few weeks, we are going to be interviewing Ariel McNutt from the Phantoms. We haven't had a woman on the podcast yet. That wasn't on purpose. Ariel will be the first woman we have. Not that it matters her gender, but she was excited that she gets to be the first woman on the show. So hopefully we'll be able to get that scheduled. She'll be on in the next few weeks. I don't know. I'm thinking I want to get Lipsack back again. He's been doing this series with Phantoms alumni players and everything like that. So I'm thinking that by the time this summer's over, we need to get him back on here. Go through that with him. If you haven't seen it yet, check out the Youngstown Phantoms Facebook page. I believe he's got like 6 episodes out now with various alumni. Yeah, so basically for the rest of the summer, that's what we're looking at. All right, so that is all the time we are going to have for this episode. 30 shows in the books. And if anything, we're even more grateful for all of you who keep tuning in week after week. And if this is your first time listening, welcome to our podcast family. Usually the episodes are a little more cheery than this one, so don't judge completely by this one.
A little more organized sometimes, but yeah.
Again, I want to say thank you to the Mahoning County Health Commissioner Ryan Tekak and Youngstown City Health District Commissioner Aaron Bishop for taking the time to help us out. The Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by HockeyFan.com. We are also syndicated on OhioHockeyDigest.com in the Phantom section. For Justin Irwin, I'm Sam Olmstead. Stay safe. Mask is not a dirty word. If everyone wore masks, just think what we could get away with. I mean, look at Team USA as an example. So, thanks again, everyone, and we will talk to you all again soon.
And as always, please wash your hands.